Hello, everybody. You're listening to the Perfect Squares podcast episode we don't know, so we're just calling them by their titles, which in this case is The Wonders of Television ×2. Why is it ×2? Because the first Google Hangout that was set up, for whatever reason, the go live or start broadcast button or whatever just disappeared to never be found again, so sorry. Thank you for being patient and putting up with our time delay. It will normally be at 6:30, though.
And I'm Jessica.
Oh, and I'm Lizzy. I guess I forgot to say that. I was feeling so apologetic.
I was trying to think of, like, what funny thing I was going to say, and I was like, I guess I don't need to this week.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's that.
I just feel like someday I'm just like, this week we're going to have Google Hangouts figured out, and then just it doesn't ever
work ever.
Yeah. People ask me why we use Google Hangouts, and I say because I just think Google's doing excellent work, and they've totally got this thing together. Just makes me, I just get really emotional about Google and Google Hangouts, and I just really, every time I think about it and the energy that I have to go to, and Lizzy can't even use her lower 1/3 because for some reason that doesn't even work.
Even though I'm using Chrome.
I just can't believe that the start broadcast button went away on the Hangout today.
Out of all the things for all the functionality to not out of all the things that you need for Google Hangouts, the start broadcast button is really the only thing.
The best part is that when I try to troubleshoot the problem, I can only find one other person that this has happened to. And this has for sure happened to me on more than one occasion. Not on my Hangout, but I've seen it happen to someone else. But for some reason, no one thinks that it's important enough to tell Google, I guess. I guess we just are all complacent enough to not tell Google that they have a shit project on their hands.
You know, I think that, yeah, I don't know. We're all just suffering in silence.
Let's talk about something that we all love dearly, and I hope Google never touches: television.
Right. So, well, they have, right? There's the Chromecast, but
I don't want to talk about that.
Okay, so, anyway, last night Jessica calls me, and we're talking about what we should do over the weekend because we decided we should hang out in real life and not in this awful shit
podcast?
Hangouts. Hang out, not hangouts. And the podcast isn't a shit fest. Well, at least I don't think it is. Maybe it is. But, so we're talking about what we should do, and this weekend is the big game. So for those of you not in the know, big game is when our dear alma mater, UC Berkeley, or as it's known in the sports world, Cal, plays its rival, Leland Stanford Junior University, in sport ball. So the big game is being televised. It's really the only game that matters, in my opinion, as long as we take home the trophy, which is an axe. I'm pretty okay with it. So Jessica's like, well, we could watch it at my place, but I don't have cable. And I was, number one, surprised that you didn't have cable.
Yeah, I got rid of it, and now I just, because I didn't want to waste, I was like, I don't want to spend all that money on cable, so I'm just going to buy the TV shows that I want to support. So now I spend like hundreds of dollars buying season passes to individual television shows.
Yeah. See, like, I have cable, but that's because it was cheaper to bundle internet and cable than it was just to buy cable by itself, or just to buy internet by itself.
Wow.
So I have accidental cable. But anyway, I was like, well, I think it's being broadcast on one of like the local stations like ABC or NBC or who knows. And Jessica's like, well, I don't get those. And apparently Jessica did not know that you can get local channels without a cable subscription.
Yeah, you were like, no, that's just the basic cable. And I was like, I know.
It's not basic cable, it's like normal, like over the air local stations. Like, I think I'm not, all caught up on my FCC regulations, but I think there's something like cable companies cannot obstruct, like they can't scramble local channels because everybody needs to have access to those. So I think they keep
just
trying.
A public service.
Yeah, I don't know.
But you were like saying this to me, and I was like, I know, I don't have those. I don't have cable. I don't have television, Lizzie. And she was like, everyone does. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I can just plug the cable into my television and it'll work? And she was like, yes, Grandpa.
If your cable is, like, presumably the people that lived in your apartment before you had it wired for cable, right? Like, you have, like...
Yes, that's how I get my internet.
Like a coax. And yeah, okay, so you should be able to screw it in there, and then unless, like, the Time Warner, Comcast, Cox guy came by in his van of death and decided to jam those for whatever reason, then you should be able to get them. Did you try?
No. I don't know where I think it's in the other room in my office, and I would have to take the TV off of the TV stand because the TV doesn't have its own stand because I broke the stand when I like rested the TV on my toe, and the stand just snapped off for some reason. So now the TV just kind of wobbles unless it's sitting on its little easel stand that I bought for the TV, which I'm pretty sure the stand that I bought cost more than the TV.
Easel stand for a TV?
Yeah, it's like an art easel, and I like wedge it into the TV. So I didn't want to take the TV off of the TV stand to go like screw it in.
That seems like a very precarious place for a TV.
What was I supposed to do? Just go get a new TV and be like, this useless TV is a piece of garbage. I don't want it anymore just because it doesn't have a stand.
Well, I don't know. It just seems a little dangerous to have a TV somehow wedged into an easel.
I zip tied it, so it's fine. There's nothing anyway.
So, American interior decorator.
Now that I think about this, I realized that when I was in college, I plugged the cable into my TV, and I thought that like the person who lived there before me had just been paying for certain channels, and I was getting like free TV. And I was so excited because I was like, man, I'm getting like some of these channels for free because whoever lived here before me must have been paying for TV and it just never stopped. And hopefully this will last for a little while. So I guess I'm just real stupid.
Yeah. I don't know what to tell you.
So I guess like I get like PBS and like I can watch Big Bang Theory if I want.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's exciting.
But
it kind of reminds me though.
If that doesn't work, you can get like an HD TV antenna, I think, at Target for like $20.
What, and like what do I do with that?
What? You hook it up to the TV so you can get the channels in case.
With an antenna?
Theoretically, okay. Theoretically, you should if you're... I don't know why I'm, like, doing tech support over the Google Hangout.
I'm sure I'm not the only person who doesn't know this.
So, yeah.
Maybe we're helping, like, 2 other stupid people.
So, like, theoretically, you should, if the people before you had cable, it should be wired so that you can get local channels even if you don't have a set-top box. In the event that you don't, you can just go buy, like, an antenna. Like, do you remember, like, ye old televisions, how they had, like, the rabbit ears?
Yeah, but I thought that when everything went digital, like, those kind of TVs didn't work anymore.
Well, right, but now they make digital antennae.
Why do I feel like this is a Yaz commercial for birth control, except for television?
I thought that television wasn't free.
Yes, but did you know that you could just go and get one of those little boxes and you could get it too? Really?
It didn't work anymore. No.
It's that easy.
Yeah.
My life has totally changed now that I've gotten it.
I can do things like watch local news.
And ride a bike.
Right. And hang out in white sundresses.
And go swimming.
Go swimming. Yeah, pretty much.
All right, well, maybe I'll try it. Maybe I'll try it.
Yeah, maybe I'll come over and we can do be like, I'm cable repair lady. I heard.
Why did this turn into sex? That's gross. I thought you were going to say we can do an experiment, and then I was like a science volcano, and we can put like baking soda, but then you turned it into a weird thing, and I don't want to do that with you. I wanted to do a science experiment, but I don't want to make it a weird sex thing.
I didn't say it was a weird sex thing.
Yes, you did. You were a sexy cable repair woman, so I mean, I'm glad you're being progressive, but I'm not into it.
And we can do some science.
No, it's too late to save yourself. Anyway, if I can get PBS, I'll be very excited because when I was a kid, my favorite time of the year was the PBS Telethon, but it was also a very conflicting time because I always wanted to call in just so that I could talk to Elmo or Mary Tyler Moore or whatever, like, the equivalent of Mary Tyler Moore they had that year, like Julie Andrews. But my mom wouldn't let me because she was like, you won't get to talk to either of them. You'll just talk to some phony on the telephone that won't even be on screen. They're just talking to no one. They're just pretending. They're just actors. And I was like, really, Mom? And I just want to donate $50. And she was like, it's just worthless. You'll just get garbage, and it just won't go anywhere anyway. And I was like, I just really want to. Can it just be my Christmas present? And she was like, no, you're getting oranges.
You get oranges in your stocking?
Yes. Doesn't everyone?
I always have. I thought it was just something my family made up.
No, I got oranges. The thing about getting oranges for Christmas,
candy cane.
I remember the weird thing about getting oranges was I kind of remember that was the only time I ate oranges, which I feel like that's kind of messed up. Like that was the only time I got those kinds of fruits was for Christmas.
Yeah, you should be you should be eating fruit more often. But I guess in a similar vein, so I lived with growing up, for those of you that don't know, my parents are divorced, and I lived primarily with my grandmother and mother, and then I would visit my dad. And my grandmother was really strict about phone usage. And one time,
oh my God, I remember that. I couldn't call you.
Yeah, and one time, for instance, I called the Nintendo tip line to get because I couldn't get through this one level, I think, on something. I don't remember what it was. Well, apparently that shit is $5 a minute. And
it's worse than a sex phone line.
It really is. Yeah, it's hot Mario's in your area now. So after that, my phone privileges were seriously pared down. But this was back in the day. I think it was the first big help ever, which is this Nickelodeon tries to make it seem like they care about issues.
I just remember every single time I saw a commercial for the Big Help, people were digging holes. I don't know why, but everyone had a shovel and they were wearing a green shirt and they were digging a hole probably to plant a tree, but I don't remember the tree. I just remember people were digging holes.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like kids just like with shovels, with their like sleeves rolled up and like
giant gloves that didn't fit their hands.
Yeah, they always had to have the giant gardening gloves, even though
they were digging holes.
They were digging holes, and there was like the Burger King Kids Club of diversity that was like really like progressive, but it like also was very forced in that typical 90s way.
Yeah, and there was a kid in a wheelchair who like really couldn't be that helpful, but he was there.
That's so fucked up.
What? I'm just saying what was true. Like, not that like people in wheelchairs couldn't be helpful, but like the kid in the wheelchair obviously wasn't digging holes. He was just standing there like holding some seeds.
I don't think any of the kids were actually digging holes. It was probably PAs.
No, but the kid in the wheelchair obviously wasn't doing anything in the commercial.
But anyway, so they were like, oh, like instead of, calling in to pledge money, you would call in to pledge like hours, however many hours you were willing to work.
Which my mom also didn't let me do.
Yeah, so somehow, I don't remember, I think my grandmother was gone. And she was like out running errands or something. And
so you like run to the phone.
Like, no, and like I run downstairs and I'm like, Mom, I want to stop the hole in the ozone layer. Can I call the big help? Because Rocco's answering phones. And, like, I wasn't a dumb child, so I knew full, well, that, like, Rocco was not actually answering phones because he's a, cartoon, but somehow I felt like...
Oh, baby, oh, baby, oh, baby.
Yeah, maybe It's very... I went back and watched all the episodes, like, a year ago, and I was like, wow, this is very mature.
They're all very mature. I just wish that they were as mature in cartoons. I mean, they kind of a little bit, but they weren't as brave as they were back then.
No. So anyway, so I run downstairs and I'm like, Mom, like, greenhouse gases, I need to do stuff, plant seeds, and...
dig holes.
Huh?
Dig holes.
And my mom is like, okay, like, this number is toll-free, so that sounds fine.
Just don't tell your grandmother.
Yeah. And so I keep calling, and I get this automated voice response. And of course, on the TV, they're like doing their like big help-a-thon, and you see like, Danny Tamborelli or whatever his name is, Lil Pete, like answering the phone, and I'm like, I want to talk to somebody famous, not like the automated voice system that's like.
Didn't you get to like you punched a number for how many hours you were going to pledge, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, if I remember this, perhaps I did pledge, because why would I know that?
Maybe it said on the commercial.
No, because if you thought you were going to talk to a person, why would it like tell you that you were going to talk to like an automated voice?
Because I was confounded by excitement.
All right, so you're talking to an automated voice.
I'm talking to an automated voice, and, I pledge an hour, and I'm like, shit, like, well, maybe it's, like, random. Maybe there's still some chance I'll get to talk to, Keenan and Kel or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so I keep calling back.
You become a stalker.
No, I become, like the highest tier platinum donor level of time, to the point where it's violating child labor laws because I'm pledging so many hours to try to talk to a 90s Nickelodeon celebrity. And I get off the phone and my mom is like, you just quote-unquote pledged like 300 hours, right? And I was like, I don't care. I still didn't get to talk to Rocco. And I was really upset because I felt like that was false advertising.
Did you do your hours?
Yeah, I really did like 300 hours of planting trees. I mean, where we grew up, there were no places to plant trees. It's all like brush.
So like, the big help didn't actually follow up on anything?
No, they didn't send out like a big help task force to see if you had actually done your requisite number of hours. No.
So that's just like, that was like the birth. That was like the fertile crescent of slacktivism right there.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And so now it's no wonder that people just tweet out hashtags. We should just start tweeting out, like, the big help.
I know. I really miss when you were in school and you would get those handwritten chain mails and you had to write like 5 more of them and give them to your friends, otherwise you would die.
I only did that once, and I never actually did it.
I did them a bunch for a bunch of people, some of whom were quite popular, and I was very, very flattered to get them from them. I made my mom go get me some jelly pens to participate in them. I feel like that's such like a death of a important piece of folklore that handwritten chain letters don't exist anymore. And then I remember when it moved into that part of like technology where if you got a chain mail in your emails, you were like, I'm gonna get a virus, and it's probably gonna, like, not like malware now where it's just like tracking your keystrokes, but like those viruses in
Like a Trojan?
like where it would just like there would be like one of those worms that would come up and just totally like F up your computer. Not like it was just trying to like, get your bank statements, but it would just like it would just destroy your computer, and you'd be like, wow, some like 15-year-old is just like having fun and screwing with me and just wants to see the world burn.
Yeah. It's funny because on my school email account, I don't get, so my Google accounts, they tend to be pretty good about filtering out the spam email, but it's like my school email address just doesn't have a working like spam filter, and so it's like every time you log into their web interface, it's like, remember, we'll never ask you for your social security number or personal information, like in big red letters. I guess that's their equivalent of like sending things to the spam folder, is just like, hey, don't respond to any of these shady emails. So I get those ones that are like Nigerian princes asking for money, but I also get ones from crackpots who do, like, I guess, mass mailings to the entire physics department that's like, look at my new theory of geometry that solves time travel. And there's usually a link to like one of their papers or an animation or whatever, and I want to see it, but there's no way in hell I would actually click on those links, because I know they're virusy or something.
What if you clicked on it with like your phone? Because like it's really hard to get viruses on your phone.
Not as hard as you would think.
It's like it's really hard, especially if you have an iPhone.
Well, I don't have an iPhone, so.
Well, that's just another reason that Androids are kind of not great.
You're entitled to your wrong opinion.
I mean, it's just true.
What?
I mean, it's like just true that like it's like much harder to get a virus on an iPhone.
This is, I don't know, not sure about that.
It's true. I just had a discussion about this with the head of IT.
Maybe this is why Hangouts isn't working, Jessica.
Yeah, because Google is like, they like back Android pretty hardcore.
Yeah, well, they're the development team, and I'm saying maybe Hangouts isn't working because you've been bashing them.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all, because
they've obviously, I mean, they're obviously in cahoots.
Apple, if you want to make some kind of like streaming service and go up against them, I'm sure it would be far less popular and I would make like no money, but I would maybe invest in some stocks in that.
Like iTube or something?
iTube. That sounds so gross and like related to like an abortion or something.
What?
Doesn't it? Like a little bit? I just feel like...
What does that even mean?
iTube. It's just like a dirty, quick abortion. iTube.
I don't... Yeah, I'm not seeing that connection at all, really.
I do, in my eye of eyes.
Are you thinking of, like, female sterilization?
I could see that as another product that Apple could make if they really wanted to go underground. I have no words.
What
do you think Linda Ellerbee is doing these days?
Speaking of 90s Nickelodeon, I don't know. I used to be all about Nick News, though. I felt so well informed.
I feel like I learned a lot of important issues.
Right? I remember this one on AIDS.
Oh my God, the one on AIDS. Who was it that was the person who had AIDS that was on the show?
Well, there was that.
There was a little kid who had AIDS that I was like, yeah, whatever, you're a child. But then there was a famous person. Was it Magic Johnson?
It probably was. Because it was like around the time he got AIDS. So, and, you know, Nickelodeon was probably like, kids like sports.
And then I remember that Linda Ellerbee, like, touched his knee, and everyone was like, oh my God, you can touch someone with AIDS and you won't die.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I never... What?
I remember my mom, who has come a long way, she told me that she was like, if you're in school, what was that sport? Oh, if you're in school playing tetherball and someone gets hit in the face and they get a nosebleed, you run the other way. You do not help them because you don't know if they have AIDS.
What?
That's what she told me. Or hepatitis.
Okay, so my dad pulled a pregnant woman out of a car crash once.
And he got AIDS?
And after he had left he was late to work because he was pulling this pregnant woman out of the car crash, and then he was all like bloodstained and stuff, and so he got to work, and then his boss was like, well, you need to go to the hospital because like he'd cut himself up.
Ew.
And they had to do like an HIV panel on him because apparently, you know, I mean, that is, I guess, a risk. A small risk, but a non-zero one, so.
Was this story going to go anywhere?
I'm just saying it's hard to get AIDS. Well, I mean, it's hard to get AIDS through accidental nosebleeds.
Yes, it is. But I'm not really sure how that relates to your dad's pregnancy story because I'm pretty sure it's standard to do that test.
After a car crash?
Like if you get if you get in like, yeah, I think it is. Like you get if you've been in contact with that, like you get tested, like you get a panel of tests like that.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I don't know.
It's just like if you get raped, you get tested for STDs.
That's very, yeah, I mean, there's a very clear reason why that makes sense. But that would not be my first thought.
Well, if your dad got cut, then I think that they would test him for any, like, diseases that could be transmitted via blood.
Like Ebola, so don't, I guess, pull anybody with Ebola out of a car crash.
How many times are we going to talk about Ebola?
You love it, so that's why I keep bringing it up.
I just am really disappointed that Ebola is not, like, worse than it actually is.
You are a terrible person.
I'm not terrible. I just enjoy the thrill of disasters.
Right. Anyway, I would...
What's that thing in biology where, like, nature just weeds itself out in terms of like population control, and eventually like kind of
capacity, like
right? It's like for some reason I remember like a rock. Okay, this is like so.
It's gonna be off
primitive,
color, isn't it?
No, it's not off color. Why? I don't know why you go there, but because it's like a rock. And there's like little organisms on the rock, and then eventually something happens to basically destroy all those things because to make room for new growth, because that's just nature's way of controlling the population and keeping the world going, the universe going. There's a word for it, and I remember specifically my teacher saying that someday that was going to happen to us, that we were going to get destroyed and something new was going to take our place.
Well, I mean...
But there was a word for it. And it wasn't population control. And he was saying that, like, that's why that, like, a small, like, micro version of this was things like the plague and, like, the, like, 1918 or whatever year flu. But at some point, something was just going to wipe humanity out and some other species was going to take over. Not necessarily, like...
Isn't that called extinction?
No, like, well, yeah, I mean, but, like, something else was going to, like, take over as not necessarily, like, another talking, like, smarter than us thing, but just something was going to...
Well, in the immortal words of, I think, Jeff Goldblum, life finds a way.
I really wish I knew, because I feel like I just try to insert that into my conversations all the time.
Right.
Like I do with Ebola.
Right. So, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking coconut water.
You're drinking coconut water, not juice?
No, I mean, is coconut a fruit? Yeah, it's a fruit. Comes off a tree. That's the definition of a fruit, isn't it?
No.
What's the definition of a fruit?
I think it needs to have seeds.
Is a coconut not a seed?
I don't know, actually. Wow.
I think if you bury a coconut, it'll make a tree.
No. Coconuts have separate seeds.
Okay, then it's still a fruit.
Well, yes.
So it's a fruit. I'm drinking juice.
But the definition of fruit isn't it grows on a tree.
I think it is.
I don't think so.
Well, okay, name something that grows on a tree that's not a fruit. Can you?
I mean, are pecans a fruit? I don't think so.
Do they grow on a tree or do they grow on a bush?
They grow on a tree.
Maybe they are a fruit.
Well, I mean no, I mean.
How do you know?
I don't. I'm Googling it right now. Let's see. No, it's a nut.
But is it a tree?
Oh, it's a simple dry fruit. Okay, so
a pecan?
Any nut is a simple dry fruit, which now
so nuts are a kind of fruit.
Yes.
Look at this.
You were right. You were right.
I'm not right all the time, but when
I can't think of an example. I'm sure there is something that is a nut. Well, no, I guess no, that makes sense. I don't know. I'm not a biologist.
I'm not right about everything, but I do know quite a bit about fruit.
Yeah. I don't know. 9th grade me would be so embarrassed right now because I had an A++ in biology.
I didn't pay too much attention in biology about most things that I didn't care about, which is why I can't remember the thing. To people talking about the chat, it's not natural selection. It's a very specific thing in natural selection. Natural selection is a very broad concept. Yeah. Am I right in saying that, Lizzy? Like, there's a lot of aspects and facets of natural selection.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, but I mean, if you're talking... Well, so natural selection, what you're talking about is like an actual extinction of a species, like a replacement of a dominant species, right?
No, it's not just a species. It's an entire ecosystem.
I don't know.
The whole ecosystem is destroyed. Not just the people, but like the whole ecosystem.
Right. Okay. That's
like
fair.
It's not. It's just the whole thing is just wiped out. It's like a fire. Like, imagine a forest fire came and destroyed everything. Like, it just leveled the whole continent, and then something else came.
A forest fire leveling a whole continent.
Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's the first thing that popped into my head. A whole forest fire came and leveled all of the trees, all of the vegetation, all of the fruits, and all of the people, all of the animals. everything.
So the whole nuts being a fruit thing, think about it, because if you think about walnuts and stuff, right, you can't just eat those raw off the tree. They have to be, you know, dried and stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's like we had a tree in my backyard. It was a fig tree, and I was very confused because I was like, what is that ugly little thing in the back? And they were like, it's figs. And I was like, that is not what figs look like in my schema of a fig.
What?
Just pulling out words. You know, yeah. Like a schema of a chair.
You came up with another word that you could drop in to replace your word that you can't remember right now.
Yeah, because I know schema.
Your fruit paradigm.
Mm-hmm. So then I collected some figs to try to dry them and make some jam, and then I was like, I'm just not into this. I just should go to the co-op and buy some jam, and that's what I did, and I did not regret it.
Well, that's good. Nobody wants a bad topping choice.
Yeah.
Marmalade regrets.
So, are grapes? What are grapes? Because they grow on a vine.
They're fruits.
Are they?
Yes.
So then things that grow on a vine are still fruits.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why I think your definition of a fruit based on how it's, you know, what kind of thing it grows on doesn't...
Well, like, pumpkins are a kind of squash.
Yes. That's true. But then
squash a vegetable?
Well, no, I think squash or squash, right? I think...
That's something.
No, I mean, they might be vegetables. I don't know. I've
always thought that vegetables are like, well, like, then you have root vegetables.
Yes.
Like carrots and potatoes and onions.
Right. But then you have peanuts.
Tomatoes are a fruit, and they grow on vines.
Yeah, see, there you go. There's another fruit that doesn't grow on a tree. So
maybe it's vines and trees.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. This is my woeful lack of high school biology peeking through. That's what happens when you just do one kind of science for a very long time.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of the problem with high school in general, is that they try to cram so much shit into your head as if, like, you're going to remember all of it later. And I think that it makes everyone really resent everything.
Probably. So you're not drinking soda?
No, I actually have a huge problem right now. I have, in the place I'm working right now, they have like one of those soda machines that have like, it's like, I think it's a Coke machine, but it has like 100 flavors because they put like you can pick the thing, so you can pick like Bart's Root Beer or Dr. Pepper or Coke Zero or Diet Coke, which I like.
Diet Coke is the worst Coke.
I've like, because I don't drink too much soda, like the difference is kind of like nuanced to me, but I usually go for Coke Zero.
Coke Zero is the way to go.
Or they have ginger ale, or they have like some Powerade, and they have lemonade. They have diet lemonade. So anyway, so they have all these choices, and then if you pick on one, then, okay, imagine this. They have, like, so pretend we're getting Coke Zero because I know you love it. They have cherry Coke Zero, orange Coke Zero, raspberry Coke Zero, lime Coke Zero, lemon Coke Zero, and vanilla Coke Zero, and cherry vanilla Coke Zero.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And it's, like, the same for like all of these different kinds, except for some of them they really only have like cherry and vanilla, or like cherry vanilla, because I guess
from yourself, like the nastiest flavor combinations.
I think that like vanilla lime root beer would be disgusting.
Yeah, or like vanilla Powerade or whatever.
They do have like grape Powerade and things like that. But I think like I work really long hours right now, and I drink a lot of caffeine. I can't drink coffee in the morning because it makes me really jittery and anxious. I don't know why. So instead of that, I drink a lot of Coke. And I'm afraid of teeth. There's no word for being afraid of teeth. I know you're going to tell me that there is, but it's not. You're wrong. That's being afraid of the dentist and getting dental work. There's no word for being, like, if you ripped out a tooth and showed it to me, I would shoot you with a gun that was a concealed weapon that I,
well, it says odontophobia is fear of teeth or dental surgery.
No, it's not. That's like a fear of going to the dentist and getting, like, worked on. It's not being afraid of, like, actual teeth.
Wait, I guess I'm confused. What exactly frightens you inherently about teeth?
I'm afraid of, like, I think teeth are gross. I think they're diseased. I'm afraid that I have periodontal disease. I'm afraid that my teeth are going to fall out. I'm afraid that I have I'm afraid that the enamel on my teeth is gone. I'm afraid of the little holes in your teeth, and I'm afraid that other people might try to touch me with their teeth. And I'm afraid of yellow teeth, and I'm afraid of people's imperfections in their teeth. And I'm afraid of people's bad breath that is caused by their diseased teeth, because it makes me think about
their periodontal disease.
Yes.
Gingivitis.
One time, Graham had like a cap or one of those, like, things that, like, a sealant or something. Oh. It was a sealant, and he was chewing a now and later, and it came out. And I started screaming and crying. And he was really upset, because he was like, "You're supposed to support me, because that really hurt, and I need to go to the dentist, and it's a Saturday, and we live in Berkeley, and none of the dentists are open, and I don't know." And I was like, "Get away from me!" And I locked myself in a closet, and I wouldn't come out, and I wouldn't touch him.
Wait, didn't I wind up driving him to this shady dentist that was near, like, the Claremont Hotel?
Yes. I ended up going later, but, and it was really crazy, because this weird dentist who operated out of his house and was spinach. Yeah, he had like mortar and pestles and, like, African statues and artwork. But that was the only dentist that was open.
Yeah, for good reason.
Yeah, so he just, like, put a quick fix, and then Graham went to a real dentist who probably didn't do, like, some kind of, I don't know, cursed his teeth. Right. But I'm really very afraid of teeth. And related, I'm afraid of small holes, like little holes, especially, like, groupings of holes. I'm afraid of sponges.
Well, that's like a legitimate fear a lot of people have.
Sponges or tiny holes?
Tiny holes. That's like a really, I don't remember what the name for it is, but apparently it's something a lot of people have. And I think
it bothers me a lot.
What I read, I think, is like it has something to do with, our biological aversion to diseased things, which, think about what comes out of holes, like maggots and, just seems germy, I guess. So.
Yeah, it's a problem. I think I'm afraid of teeth because my mom was a hygienist, and she would tell me all these horror stories about how she would come home and there would be people's bridges in her hair when she would be using her pick and picking out her hair, and she would find people's bridges in her teeth, or not her teeth. She would find teeth in her hair.
That is what?
She would tell me all these scary stories, and she would tell me that if I didn't floss, I would get periodontal disease and that all my teeth would fall out. and she would show me really scary pictures, and sometimes I would look through her like dental books. So I actually love going to the dentist, and I go more than twice a year, and I like pay out of pocket because I love going to the dentist and getting dental work, because I don't want my teeth to get diseased, and I'm like actually super paranoid about it. But I am very afraid of teeth, and I'm very afraid of other people's teeth. In the same way, except I think worse, about how you're afraid of toes, or how you just like don't like them. I'm not sure how afraid you are, but I'm very afraid of.
I'm more afraid of like gross loose hair. Like,
yes, that's right, gross loose hair. But it's always surprised me how there's not a word for what like the phobia that I have. But it's become a problem because of how much soda I've started drinking, and I never used to drink soda because my mom and her history and her professional background, she knows how bad it is, and I know that it stains your teeth a little, and I've always been paranoid about not having yellow teeth, and I don't like. I try not to get my teeth whitened because I have kind of sensitive teeth as well, because I grind my teeth all the time, and I don't like wearing my night guard. Oh my God, I'm so upset right now. I don't know why you brought this up. And so now I drink a lot of soda, and I think I've gotten addicted to it, or at least like a little bit dependent on it, and I think it makes me dehydrated. Does soda make you dehydrated?
Depends on what kind of soda. I mean, some soda has sodium in it.
Like Coke Zero, that's mostly what I drink. I drink Coke Zero, and when I get tired of Coke Zero, then I switch to Diet Bart's, and when I'm not drinking that, I drink Diet Dr. Pepper. Those are the three that I drink.
Well, I mean, I think it's probably the caffeine that's dehydrating you.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what...
You should probably drink water as well.
I don't like water.
Well, okay, like, to put it in perspective, do you remember, okay, so, like, you took in-class driving school, right? In high school?
Yes.
You had to, so this was the other thing. I guess some people have driver's ed offered as part, like, they can do it at their school. Like, that's a thing.
We never got to do that. I had to drive to another city
and pay
like the best one, and it was like $500.
Yeah, it was ridiculous for driving lessons, and like you had all this in-class time, and then you had to go out twice with the instructor or whatever, and then you were like good. They had, you had their blessing or whatever to get your learner's permit and become another disaffected Southern California driver. Anyway, so did you ever have to watch that shock movie, that Red Asphalt or whatever?
Yes. I specifically remember the guy who had like the watermelon face when he like had his face smashed into the steering wheel.
Yeah, I remember there being a leg on the road. Like a dismembered leg.
A leg on the road.
Just on the road. And I remember them using Coke to clean up the blood.
Oh my God, they did use Coke to clean up the blood.
Yeah, they used like Coke, like just normal drinking Coke for cleaning up the blood.
I wonder who does that, like whose job that is to clean, like, is that like a police, like, do part of the police do that, all the cleanup, or is that like a special?
I think that's probably like a biological, like a chemical/biological hazard unit or something probably comes up and like cleans it up.
Do you think that like those are contractors, or do you think that that's part of like the government, or do you think, like, I mean, even if they are contracted out, or do you think that it's just like private like services?
Like Blood Spill Co. We come in.
Yeah.
Or it's like those places that'll fix your house if you've got smoke stains from a house fire.
Yes, exactly. Do you think that they're respected, or do you think that like the cops make fun of them?
I don't think the cops are in a new position to be making fun of people that clean up hazardous waste.
If you get shot and killed and your widow, like, it's in like your house and your widow like still lives there, and she like, does she have to clean it up, or
wait, what?
does that get taken care of?
Wait, okay, so somebody kills themselves in their house.
Or like gets murdered, I don't know.
Okay, and you're asking, do the people
like your family still just like they like life goes on after that. You know,
I think
they didn't get red asphalted.
Well, number one,
Who
like
cleans that up? Do they have to clean it up?
Well, the police are still going to come up, like, are going to come over to make sure that there's no foul play, and, you know.
Oh, right, but after all, like, after the case is either closed or, like, whatever, like, after the crime scene investigation, like, who cleans it up?
I'm guessing there's people you can hire to do that.
So you have to pay for your own, like all the murder cleanup?
Thanks, Obama.
And like all the fingerprints that like got taken, like the fingerprint dustings, like you have to clean that up yourself or pay someone.
They might clean that stuff up. I don't know. Like I imagine, do they like stick Post-it notes and shit on everything? I think they'll come take those off.
Yeah.
I don't think you have like to worry about throwing out the Exhibit A signs or anything like that.
Do you think that you learned anything from red asphalt other than people use Coke to clean up blood?
No, not really. I mean, it's like one of those things where it's like, okay, don't get in an accident. And I didn't need a gory, like, shock, scare you straight movie to teach me that. Like, I mean, I didn't really see, but I was on my way, I was driving to high school, and this guy, there was this, like, really, really large, like, semi-truck. And you know how there's space in between the actual trailer and the street? Well, this guy in, like, a Miata or something, I don't know, some kind of, like, low sports car, runs a light and gets wedged underneath the trailer in the street. And, like, I guess, and, like, I see this happen out of, like, the back of my eye, but I'm, like, on the way to school. It was at, the intersection of Green Spot and Orange?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, like, at that light, by that, like, weird place that's now, like, Beef and Beer or something.
Oh, Moo and Brew?
Yeah, yeah.
My mom loves Moo and Brew. She's always asking me to take her there, and I'm like, no, they have tinted windows.
So what is the Moo and Brew?
It's like a burger place.
It's just a normal burger place?
It's like actually kind of nice inside. Like, not like fancy, but like, I don't feel like I'm gonna get food poisoning when I go in. But it's still like, it still has tinted windows, and it's like in a parking lot with a gas station. So, but I mean, the real estate where we live is like not particularly great.
But anyway, I read later that he was decapitated. So
wow.
I watched somebody die.
But you didn't see anything?
No, I didn't see anything.
Do you wish you saw anything?
Not really.
I don't think I've ever seen anyone like get seriously injured. Not that I'm saying I wish I had, because I feel like that'd make me a bad person.
It's a little bit, you start to get into a gray area.
Yeah, I don't think that I should wish that. I mean, I definitely subscribe to a few Instagrams that... I don't think there's anything wrong with being morbidly curious about things that have happened after the fact.
Wait, so it's like the rotten.com of Instagrams?
Well, it's kind of like someone has just brought up that I should drink water so I don't get kidney stones, which now I'm like a little bit upset because I hadn't thought about that. But I do subscribe to an Instagram about someone who does autopsies, and I had to unsubscribe after I saw a few too many pictures of people who had kidney stones. And that is just really effing disgusting because it reminded me of small holes. So now I'm really worried that I have kidney stones. I don't think I do, but...
I think you would know if you have kidney stones. I'm pretty sure that's something you can feel.
I don't know. I'm worried. But one of our commenters says their ex-girlfriend's father is a sole proprietor business owner who specializes in cleaning up property after the deceased has been removed.
Okay, see, I was
Not limited
right.
to crime scenes, but could be death by natural causes.
Yeah, so, right. Jiffy Cleaners comes in and, sanitizes everything and burns clothes or who knows what. And, yeah.
There you go. We've learned something new.
I wonder if insurance covers that, though. I mean, I feel like that'd be kind of pricey.
I mean, that's why you get life insurance, I feel like. Do you have life insurance?
It's one of those unforeseen expenses. No, I don't have life insurance.
Lizzy, get life insurance. You have to. You're young, and it's cheap right now. I pay $5 a month for my life insurance.
Now this is sounding like another commercial with, like, Alex Trebek, where he's like, where would your family be if you die suddenly?
When I was at EA, I think I didn't pay that much for my life insurance, but I had like $1 million policy on my life and on everyone in my family.
What? This is starting to sound kind of fraudulent.
I don't think, like, no one tells you, but when you work at like a really big company, like, you can get like life insurance policies on everyone in your family. Get a life insurance policy. It's important, and when you're young, they're really cheap, and like the rates don't go up. But when you're older and you want one, it gets more expensive, especially if you get sick. So get a life insurance policy, everyone. And with that, I think it's time to say goodbye. Because I still haven't figured out what the hell is wrong with our comment system. If you watch the podcast, or if you listen to it on iTunes and feel like it, go to our comment system on YouTube and leave a comment down below after this stops streaming live, and tell us your childhood TV moment that popped into your head right now. For Lizzy, it was The Big Help. For me, it was not being able to pledge anything on telethons. And Linda Ellerbee is still working, so who knew? But she taught us all a lot. Please subscribe. We really support and love you all, and we appreciate it. We are also on iTunes, so thank you all for following us on there as well. I'm Jessica Merzin. This is Lizzy Heckmeyer, and we will see you all next week. Please let us know if you like this new time, 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. If you don't, we will change it, because that's how much we love you. All right, Lizzy, play us out.
All right.